do 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 da 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 bop 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 down down. Welcome to the second in the series of iSax tips, and in this one we're going to be looking at the breath sensor. Last time we looked at the bite sensor. If you didn't catch that video, it'll either be linked up here or down in the description below. And don't forget, please subscribe to that mailing list so that you get the accompanying PDF. I know a lot of you have really enjoyed having those, so I'm going to continue doing those with each iSaxTip video. Now, the breath sensor is so important for us, arguably the most important setting for us to get the best out of the Aerophone. So let's look at these settings and let's make sure that we're really getting the most expressive sound possible from the Aerophone. The first setting is breath curve. Think of this a little bit like breath sensitivity. What we have is 11 different settings. They range from L5 to H5. At L5, at the lowest setting, that means that you don't have to blow very hard at all to get the loudest volume from the Aerophone. By the way, make sure that you've got your speakers, your headphones set at a reasonable volume to begin with so you can test this out properly, and don't mess around with that as you are changing these settings, because that's just going to confuse you. This is the way I think it will work for you to realize what I'm doing, because it's hard for you to see how hard I'm blowing. So I'm going to use my hand like this to show you how hard I'm pushing air into the Aerophone. This being, like really minimal amount, and this being I'm blowing as hard as I can blow. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my breath curve to L5. And this means that it won't take me much breath to get up to the loudest volume. By the way, I'm on the Soars hard lead sound for this. Here we go, starting very, very gently. So what was happening here, I played pretty gently. As soon as I was like here, only about a third of my kind of lung velocity capacity, if you might say, I was getting to the loudest sound. So anything I did after that, it was just loud all the time. Probably not the best way to have the setting, because I'm kind of losing a lot of the potential control there. Now, if I go on to, I'm going to make the setting now to H5. Okay, now this is going to mean that I'll have to blow really loud, really hard to get the loudest volume. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, there was some nice control there in the lower volume. I could really kind of span out that initial crescendo, but it was really, really hard to get the loudest note. Too hard, in my opinion, to be comfortable. Now, as you know, if you're a saxophone player, the response, the resistance is going to be different in different areas of the saxophone. When you blow a low note, it takes a little bit more resistance. When you're up in the upper notes in the register, it's probably a little bit easier to blow. That's great. That might be the way you like it to be. But it's really important to understand that this is a digital instrument, not an acoustic instrument. It doesn't work in the same way. And if you go all out to try and replicate your setup on a saxophone, that might not be the very best way to get the best response out of the sounds on the Aerophone. And I'm going to show you some exercises that you can do to test this out to see if you're getting the best response from the sounds. Before we do that, I'm going to go back to right around M setting. Let's see what the breath happens response is here. Okay, that felt pretty comfortable for me by the time I was about kind of 2/3 of the way onto my breath power. I was at the loudest volume, so I haven't got to blow my guts out to get the very loudest sound, but I've got some nice control in the lower dynamic levels as well. That's really important for something that's coming up very soon. Okay, before we do that, let's look at the other setting, which is breath adjust. Now, remember we've been doing this kind of blowing soft and blowing louder to get the louder sounds. Breath adjust changes how much breath you need before the sound starts. So if I put this down to number 1, I can blow very, very gently. In fact, I'm almost just exhaling very gently through the instrument and I get a sound. And then I can crescendo. Now, I quite like that. If I move this up, say, to about 30, now what's going to happen is it's going to take a little bit more air before the sound starts. It's pretty sensitive. It's up to you which setting is going to suit you best, but do play around with it and do experiment. Now, the other thing we've got to think about, of course, is articulation. And by the way, if you don't, if you're not successful with double tonguing on a saxophone like me, you will find that you can do your double tonguing probably easier on the Aerophone. Now, I find for myself, if I put that breath curve down to maybe the L1 setting, I just find it's a little bit easier for me to produce a good attack and quickly as well. So I end up with my setting usually on M or L1. But how about these little exercises and challenges to see is your breath setting really giving you the best control over the sound? Okay, a couple of things that you should do. Go to the AE hard lead, and you should hear that as you blow louder here, the sound will change. You hear it? It's even an octave change. The same thing happens with the modulator, the second sound. So that's on the crescendo diminuendo. So can you play the lower octave? By changing the amount of velocity, you should be able to switch octaves with breath alone on those sounds. The other thing I really want to point out to you, if we go to the third sound, this is just on the first 3 sounds on the Aerophone, it's ST hard lead. And I want to make you aware of the fact that if you tongue the start of the sound, you'll get a nice twang. But if we blow quite gently, So again, can you make a breath attack? Or a tongued attack? This is the sort of exercise that's really going to help you make your decisions on your breath settings and teach you so much about the sounds. That's just the first 3 sounds on the Aerophone. There's plenty more to experiment with. You'll need to go through all of the sounds, experiment with different volumes and different attacks, see what comes out of the Aerophone. Now, the last thing, a little special challenge for you. I'd be really interested for you to tell me what you find on this one. I am going to preset 11. The first sound is the jazz scat sound. I know some of you hate this sound. It's not my favourite sound, but presents us with a really great challenge. That is, there are 4 different velocity levels on the jazz scat sound. If you blow quite gently, we get a sustained do. If I go a little bit harder, da, 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 da. If I blow harder still, bop, bop, bop. 4 bop sounds in the row. And if I do even harder, down, down, down. So here's the challenge for you. Can you cleanly play 4 notes at each one of those velocity levels? Do, 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 do. Da, 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 da. Bop, 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 bop. Down, 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 down. Let me know how you get on with that little challenge. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me in this video. I hope that's helped you discover some new things about the breath settings and the breath response on the Aerophone. Please don't leave this video without giving me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and to the mailing list so you get that PDF to go along with this video as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one.